welcome to today's video. As you can see from the title, we are throwing it back a little bit. We're going to talk about EPIK and teaching in Korea. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, EPIK is the program most people apply through to teach public school in South Korea, and I was with the EPIK program for 2 years. I was in Daejeon and I really enjoyed my time there. So I know a lot of you guys come and watch our videos to get insight on EPIK and kind of like the ins and outs and all that jazz. So I thought this would be really helpful for you guys. Before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. So I recently discovered my USB from when I was teaching as an EPIK teacher, and it kind of has all the things I used, and I really wanted to talk about camp because it is kind of one of the most heavy duty responsibilities, I feel like, as an EPIK teacher, because you're really in charge of the whole camp. And I made 4 amazing camps, and I hate to like toot my own horn here, guys, but my camps were pretty epic. My kids always enjoyed it. It got great reviews, and I just kind of want to show you what I did and how I did it. So without further ado, let's start.
Okay, so here we have what I deem the holy grail of any of my English camps was the schedule that I made, and I always kind of use the same simple template and just changed this for the theme. So with every English camp, it's best to have a theme. I think it keeps everything focused and just a little bit easier to plan out. So here we have the times. I always had 2 sets of kids at different times, so I broke down the schedules, but essentially the schedule was the same, and sometimes I would change the material depending if the older students were at this time and make things a little bit just more appropriate for their levels. But other than that, this was pretty much it. Now, the first thing we started with was introductions. The first day is kind of just getting the kids assimilated and set up and getting it all sorted. We would have introductions, rules, little icebreaker games for the kids to play, and then we would set them up into teams. And this was really important for camp because we would set them up into teams and they would compete within their teams as well as individually. We as teachers always divided the kids into teams. We never let them make their own teams because we wanted to make sure there was an appropriate mixture of levels within the groups. So we didn't want to have obviously an uneven. We didn't want to have one group who was really high level and one group really low level, because that way it's not really going to be fun for them to compete later on. We also knew their personalities really well, so we wanted to obviously not sit everyone with their friends, but make sure that there was like a nice balance to the teams. And then here we would have decorations, and the kids would start to be introduced to some vocabulary at this point and some expressions. And then we'd have a little art activity as well as snacks. And then we always did 30 minutes of movie time, and we tried to finish out as much of the movie at the end of the day as possible, but we didn't always finish. I know some schools do like a full movie day. My school didn't really want to do that, so I was just like, let's just do it a little bit each day, and then it's still like, a little bit of a time killer, and also lets us relax and set up for everything else. Now, the rest of the schedules, my first hours were always the same. We started with vocabulary. I thought it was best to start off the lessons with vocabulary because honestly, towards the end of the day, the kids are usually burnt out or on a sugar high or whatever. So it's better to just start it off here. And we always made a little bit of a game of it, so it became a little bit competitive, and that way the kids are proactive in participating. The next things we did were the different lessons. So here we have Marauder's Map, we have Herbology, Defense Against the Dark Arts, Quidditch game. Here we have like Arts and Crafts, Care of Magical Creatures, Potions, XYZ. So as you can tell, I pretty much labeled it all out. A lot of it are art activities such as fans. A lot of it are games like the Scrabble game. And yeah, so every class had its own associated lesson as well as maybe an activity or snack associated. Snacks are really important. I was not about to not have food at my camp, but I didn't get a huge budget for my camp. I know some schools got a huge budget, so like end of camp they have like a massive pizza party. My school did not have that, so we made do. The next thing I would immediately do after this is I made a to-do list. And again, guys, I'm super type A, so you don't have to do everything like this, but I just found it really helpful for me to visualize and check off everything. So these were the PowerPoints I had to make for camp, the ones I had already but needed to edit to fit the theme, the things I needed to have printed out besides the book that the kids will have, the crafts I wanted to make as an example or reference, the video clips I wanted to find that I would play during camp. This again is kind of the breakdown of the schedule. I also always had bonus things. So sometimes, things are a little too short and you need a filler, or some of the kids, they're a little bit faster than others, or they finish up quicker than you think. So I always had different little bonus games set up just in case. And I always had too many, like more than I needed, but I'd rather that than just like, ooh, what do we do? Kids have run out of activities. And then the next thing, most important, is the materials. So these were the things we needed to buy for the activities for camp. And sometimes you want to be even more specific depending on your co-teacher. Me and my co-teachers, we sat together, we always hung out together, so we were really close. So they would just sit me down if they had questions, but I know some co-teachers and English and EPIK teachers don't get along very well, or there's a lot of language barrier. So in this case here, instead of like marshmallows, you might want to put a picture, and you might want to be specific, like 2 bags, big marshmallows. Because they're going to ask you like how many of each do you need. You need to give them like an exact number. So if I have 30 kids, I'm going to need 30 chopsticks, right? In that case, something like string, there's a lot of different types of string. So you might want to put a picture up and just be, again, as specific as you can. Even here, like if I wanted to say how many boxes of Oreos, I want to be specific. I would need like 60 individual Oreos. Or here, like 1 jar. Is it a jar? 1 jar of Nutella. Right, so that way it's all very clear, and you want to make sure you're keeping things in mind. You can't go crazy. You really need to stick to your budget and see what's feasible. So a lot of times, sometimes I would say, is it possible to do this? And my co-teachers say, no, that's too expensive. So then I have to think of something else. So for example, I don't know, let's like pretend here I wanted to do something with like bacon, and then it was like bacon's too expensive. So let's do ham. And I want to keep it in mind also, like a lot of the co-teachers, a lot of your school budget can only be spent at certain stores or certain websites. So they might not necessarily be able to just go to Costco and spend the budget there, because it has to be tied back and proven to the school. So just make sure you understand all of that before just being like, oh, we can just go to Costco for it. So these were the folders I made for my camp. Here you're going to want to have your English book as your next thing to make. I think that this is really crucial for the kids, because this is what you're going to need to print out and make as a book, and that way the parents can see at the end of it all what the kids did. So here is the rewards chart. I always made a rewards chart, and I always changed it to the theme of my camp. So here is Harry Potter. It's like if you completed the worksheet and did it with a good attitude, you got a stamp. And they would fill in these stamps, and for every time they finished a row, at the end of camp, we always got like a big pile of snacks and candies or whatever. And so every row they finish, they can get 1 or 2 snacks depending on what we had bought for them. So the kids really like this, because that way everyone will get something at the end of camp. Here we have vocabulary. I broke it down by word, sentence, and then the definitions are empty because here it was associated with a PowerPoint, and I'll show you guys later what that's about. And it looks weird here just because I'm showing this on a Mac, and when I made this, I made it at school and we had a Windows, so just don't mind that. For all the days that I made worksheets for certain classes, so this is called My Wand. So if you look here on my schedule, we have a class here called Wands, so it was associated with that class. So I tried to make worksheets associated with all the lessons, at least 1 per lesson. So here, some of the worksheets were ones I made, and then some of them were ones I took off the internet, and some of them were a mixture of both. So just keep that in mind. So these are some examples. I always made sure to have like a few random worksheets in the back as well, just because if some of the kids finished early or they just kind of wanted to do something, they would have something to like occupy their time. And at the end of camp, I always gave them time to finish all of these worksheets, so that way everyone got to finish everything in the book. And that was really important because the parents had to see that everything was finished in the books. So here we have the day 1 introductions that I would show the kids. And I just wanted to quickly talk through this. So we just had really simple rules. It wasn't anything complicated. And then I just, again, run through. Now, I showed you guys before the individual points the kids had in the book. We also had team points. So the kids would compete in teams, and basically the final winners of the teams, because there would actually be winners. It's not like one of those everybody's a winner. So one of the rewards we would give the kids was a homework coupon. So everyone on that team would be able to get out of one homework assignment. Like if they didn't do homework that day, they could get out of it without getting into trouble. Another one we did later on was a seat changer. So for one English class, the kids could change seat and they could sit with their friend. So this was something that was free, and also the kids really wanted it, and it didn't really hinder any of the teachers. So you can think about doing that as well. The kids really liked it. And again, this was the individual stamp chart. So if you guys remember from the workbooks, I had sheets like this and the definitions were blank. This is where the Korean would go. So I'd show them this PPT. And then this would be animated, so then I would reveal the Korean, they would write it down. And at the end of it, I give them like 5 minutes to memorize all the words, and then we'd have trivia. So sometimes the first day was kind of easy because I kept the words in order. So I'd show like either the Korean or the English, and the kids had to write on whiteboards the answer, and if they got it, their team got a point, and then whoever got the most points at the end was the winner. So this kept the kids engaged with the vocabulary. At the end of camp, I would quiz them on all the vocabulary from all 5 days. So then it got like a little bit trickier. Care of magical creatures. So here I had PPTs associated with different magical creatures. So this one's about unicorns. So then for Care of Magical Creatures, they learned about different magical creatures, and then they had to make their own. So they had their magical creature. They kind of drew up what they thought it would look like. They gave it a name, what it looks like, what it eats, its powers, how could this animal help Harry Potter. And then we had clay, and the kids made clay models of their magical creatures. And that was really fun for the kids. And I think that's pretty much it. I hope that gives you kind of an idea of things and how to run it. Obviously, there's a lot more involved and there's a lot more activities and stuff, but let me know down below if you have any questions about any of that.
So yeah, that was my Harry Potter summer camp. I hope you guys found this video helpful or insightful. I don't really have a big Dropbox, so I can't like put this material online for you guys anywhere, but you can like take screenshots or do whatever you need to do. Or if you have any questions, definitely make sure to ask me down below. And I have 3 other camps that I can talk about with you guys. If you guys are interested, again, let me know in the comments down below. I'd be happy to make those videos as well. In the meantime, guys, I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.